This is how we do it.
You're live.
How we do. Oh, we're live.
Does this need to be live streamed?
This is a live stream, yes.
Why?
Huh?
Why does this need to be live streamed?
Why is it live streamed? Just because there's a lot of people who couldn't make it to the party.
Okay.
Yeah. And because we're selling books. This is the launch party for Multitude. This is Multitude. Yes. All my wonderful dustiest friends are here to help me cut the cake.
Yay!
And you guys are in trouble because this is a 1-hour live stream, so maybe we're going to move around with it a bit. I think we'll probably do a cake cutting, and if you have questions, I will take questions about, I don't know, about the book. My husband is still in the other room talking with Mila's husband, I hear. That's good, that's good.
Read the book, read the book, read the book.
Oh, we're going to do a reading. We're going to do a reading. Okay. All right.
What's the book about?
The book is about a hive mind coming to the world, to our world. And I wanted to express the hive mind's perspective. I got tired of how often in science fiction, when there's a hive mind, it's like we are all going to destroy all individuality and we have no brains. And I'm like, but wouldn't you have all the brains? So, and I wondered what we would look like from a collective perspective, because let's face it, humanity has an individualism problem. We have a failure to see the other side problem. We have people still dying from cholera when we already know how to kill cholera. We have people dying of measles when we have a measles vaccine. We have something like, I don't remember, but like thousands of tons of fashion wear burning in the Chilean desert that never sold. This is not stuff that was taken to Goodwill. This is stuff that went from factory to store to a desert because everybody needs to because they needed to make every dress in every size and enough to guess if every single one of them would sell, but of course none would, and there's all this waste. And the weird thing is that we have the tools to fix it. All we have to do is talk to each other, right? All we have to do is prioritize giving people what they need over increasing profits exponentially. But it's like that meme with the guy sweating over 2 buttons, and the one button says continued existence of every species on Earth, including humans, and the other button says fourth quarter profits. And you know, so that's what the book's about. I know that sounded kind of preachy, but I am going to read, I don't know, does anybody have any requests for what to read? I could start from the beginning, or I could do one of my favorite bits, or...
So I read an interview with you where
Yeah.
you said that Grady was the character who kind of started everything for you.
Yeah,
Could we hear a little bit of Grady?
yeah, you want me to do, yeah. So I will read, not the first chapter, but the first chapter I wrote, which is chapter 12. That's the way these things happen. This is called The Orderly. And yeah, the interview Andra is talking about was on Mary Robinette Cole's blog, where they ask you what's your favorite bit. And this was my favorite bit. I was in Central Park in New York, waiting for an appointment at the Chinese embassy so I could get a visa to go to China for the Hugo Awards, because I was nominated for the Hugo Awards and they were giving me a free trip to China. I just had to like get permission to go there. And while I was sitting in the park waiting for my appointment, I saw this middle-aged man with like 12 elderly people, and he touched me. I was like, this man, he's wearing cartoon print scrubs, and his little old charges are like wandering off the trail or right into a trash can, and he's just border collieing them all together, but he looked so happy. And so I wrote this. Chapter 12, The Orderly. Truly selfless people are unnerving. I feel a dirty desire to prove that they are as mean and greedy as the rest of us. Who can be a friend to a saint? They'd have to be blind to their own faults. I'm the office assistant at Cedar Crossing Hospice, and I hate my job. I hate the reminders of how a human can go wrong, how close my skin is to crinkling, my bones to being too brittle to hop aboard a moving bus, much less play competitive hockey. I hate that I hate it. I want to be a better person, which is why I hate Grady. Grady is one of the orderlies, and he treasures these broken people. Their sanity is fragile as wet paper. But like paper, they can maintain an illusion of structure if he held them just right, if the light fell on them just so. It would be enough, and they would function, be some fragment of the potential they'd held as infants. They are like infants. Accomplishments are allowed to be small and partial. Mr. Jones ate all his vegetables today, Grady cheerfully tells me as he picks up his paycheck. Ms. Smith stood up on her own. I pretend to be delighted. A good person would be. But all I can think about is how Ms. Smith calls Grady her daughter-in-law's name and trembles like a shaved chihuahua when he wheels her onto the veranda. Today, however, is the day after aliens landed. Years of waiting, now a reality. Funny how easy it was to forget they were on the way, like a progression of illness in a disliked relative. I remember how my cousin freaked out at the first message, and then there was that thing with the Mormons baptizing the aliens by proxy. I think Grady said something at the time about how we'd all have world peace now, and that we weren't alone. Tell that to the poor bastards fighting it out in Belgium. The alien probes are on all the news channels. It's a thing like a hot water heater floating nonchalantly down Park Avenue. Mounted police following because they can't build barricades fast enough to keep the crowds off the sidewalks. They flow after the horses with cell phones raised. The same thing is going on in Lisbon, in Hong Kong. The aliens haven't come to Cleveland yet, and why the hell would they? We can't even get an IKEA. And some places are still shut down for safety reasons. Not us. We have people to take care of. I mean, not me specifically, but I'm the lowest ranked administrative office member, and I need this job for fancy things like food and shelter. So I stand on the concrete veranda that rings the central courtyard. I can't see the diamond-like ships in the cloudy patches of sky poking around the gnarled, gloomy cedar trees that give our hospice its name. I hope everyone stays inside today because it's gray and dreary, and I can be alone with my slowly building panic. What if those hot water things are taking measurements for their human grinder? What if they're going to take the best cities as their own and put all the rest of us in a humanitarium? Well, we'd deserve that. I'm never going to be able to sell my alien abduction novel now. Grady slides back the glass doors to the multi-purpose room and approaches me. Ms. Hu is doing wonderful things in the finger painting class. He holds up his phone, and I am obligated to take a look. Grady is like a young mother, obsessed with sharing photos and milestones, only his toddlers look sour as they toddle and not excited about their defiance of gravity. If he were a mother, he wouldn't be so proud to have his chicks all failing to leave the nest, never improving but oh so tantalizingly likely to improve one day to the next. The muddy blotches of paint look something like a tree. Beautiful, I say. Even Grady can hear how insincere I am. I can tell by his grimace. I snap, I'm a little preoccupied, okay? His expression turns gentle, and I hate that. He puts his large, warm hand on my shoulder. The residents requested to watch Cocoon in the day room. Do you want to join them? You'd think humanity would have the self-awareness to be embarrassed about alien movies in the presence of real aliens. Nope, we're that cringe. Even stuff from the 1950s is getting re-released. Do you really think it's a good idea, I said, filling their heads with kind aliens who cure aging? He shrugs. I think being hopeful is a good thing. Our residents face certain death. I don't say that, but I think it, and I walk along the veranda to where I can see the street. Cedar Crossing used to be swank with its crenellated walls and enclosed garden. Now the garden is barely kept in check by a weekly mowing, and the wall is shedding stones. At one point, the section against the veranda on this side got so worn down that residents were escaping over it. So it's been replaced by an ugly segment of chain link, which lets me see the world outside, the boarded-up storefronts, the littered pavement, the plump teen arguing on her phone. I should see her as the promising future of our city, but I imagine academics abandoned to serve the needs of abusive boyfriends. It's that, or she'll be driving a getaway car. Grady waves over my shoulder. Gabriella, how's the youth committee? She pulls an earbud out. Hi, Mr. Selnick. Grady beams like a proud papa, and I hate myself just a little bit more. Also, my alien abduction novel is a pile of other people's tropes wedged in between moments of autobiography. Not that I finished it. Gabriella approaches the fence, talking about some festival they're both volunteering for, and Grady unlocks the chain link to hand her a few dollars, which she folds over like a queen accepting fealty. Which is when I see the alien thing. Cell phone videos do not do these water tank things justice. There's a gleam like fish scales and a gajillion tiny little arms that lever out and lights bobbing. The whole thing floats 2 feet over the cracked concrete like its wheels have been photoshopped out. Gabriella shrieks, hits the chain link with her back, and then scoots around behind it like that's gonna help. She remembers to record it with her phone. Grady walks forward with his hands out. Welcome, he says. His eyes are wet with unshed tears. Oh, glory. Oh, welcome to our planet. Yeah, I say, you do that. And I close the gate and huddle with Gabriella. It looks like Grady is going to hug the thing. And then he vanishes. He just vanishes. No flash, no smoke, no greasy spot on the pavement, and the machine keeps rolling forward. Gabriella's arms enfold me. I wail for my friend. That's the end of the chapter. I might have made it longer, but at the time I wrote that chapter, my plan was to make every chapter of the book exactly 1,000 words long. I abandoned that somewhere around chapter 20, but... Any questions? Yes, Neela.
Is it harder to write longer or shorter?
You know how I feel about that. It's harder to write shorter. It's harder to be concise, I think. And I leaned into that difficulty with this piece. I wanted to write something very spare and very clean. And yeah, 1,000-word chapters, changing POV every chapter. I took it as a technical challenge. And I think when you stretch yourself, you can be surprised where you end up. And there were, like, my outline for this was very short. It was like 8 points. It was like, aliens learn about humanity. Aliens try to contact humanity. Aliens come to Earth. Humans freak out. Bad stuff happens. Yeah. Aliens fail to communicate. Next 2 points withheld because spoilers, but then I just let myself work on it at 1,000 words at a time. My idea was if I didn't sell it as a book, I could sell each chapter as a flash fiction piece, because there's a lot of markets that take stories under 1,000 words. And I did sell one chapter. Yarn Theory in Clark's World is based on a chapter in this titled The Mathematician. I think she's like chapter 8. I feel bad because actually when Apex printed this, when I sent them the manuscript, I mean, not to sound ungrateful, but when I sent them the manuscript, I had a table of contents, and they did not print a table of contents, which makes sense because most people, not me, aren't going to want to, like, I want to read you the chapter about the mathematician, or I just want to read the chapter about the seamstress or the sequin maker, or the third hive chapter. But I do kind of miss that table of contents. Where is the mathematician? Ooh, the soldier, the SETI technicians. The mathematician is chapter 10. There. I was most worried about the SETI technicians, but I'm very grateful that Jeff Landis, my friend, is a NASA guy, and he read this, and he didn't seem to mind, so I guess I did okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
From where do you get your inspiration?
I just told the story about seeing this person in the park. I frequently get inspiration from strangers on the street. That's why I am a proud bus commuter in the winter. You never know who you're going to meet on the bus. Yes. And I don't know, I'm just always paying attention to humanity, paying attention to what's around me. Sometimes art, sometimes music, sometimes other books. Like I said, sometimes things that just piss me off, like the story about the tons of fashion burning in the desert, and I'm like, I need a ticket to Chile. There is free Chanel. But yeah, you just think about, like, we have the technology, we have the computing power. Why don't we put it through making sure that every ounce of petroleum in our limited reserves goes to its best use, instead of burning it all as fast as possible so that we can make worse fiction? Like, I got an idea. Why don't we just make mediocre art with all of our remaining resources and die faster? I have opinions. But the great thing about writing something like this, which is a little bit, another inspiration for this was what's called the fix-up. And if you're a classic science fiction reader, you might remember that in the 50s and 60s, when short fiction was dominating the genre, most of the novels were what were called fix-ups. They were actually short story collections with like a flimsy explanation around them to make them a novel. Isaac Asimov's I, Robot, The Illustrated Man by Ray Bradbury, Clifford Simick's City. There's a lot of examples. So I wanted to write kind of a modern fix-up, but not so much with the flimsy, because it is actually, designed to all go together. I had been a part of a couple of shared universe anthologies where somebody said, well, one was called Pangea, and it was like, we want to write a story about this world where Pangea never broke up, and this affected humanity in these ways, we conjecture. Now go forward and write about it. And it was frustrating to me that I read all of the previous anthology, and I worked really hard to pull in characters from the other people's stories, and most of the other authors just clearly did not read anyone's stories but their own and did not pull anything in, and it didn't feel cohesive. That same company later, this was Michael Jan Friedman, who did these anthologies, and he was like, all right, we're going to do a superhero anthology, and this time we have a Bible and we have main characters and we're going to have a plot. So I liked the idea of interconnected stories with a plot, and it gave me a chance to write about things that were just concerning me. There's a chapter here called The Seamstress, which really began with the fact that I was working on this bridesmaid's dress, and it was in extremely beautiful silk satin that stained if you sweat on it, and I don't have air conditioning, and I had to hand sew the bodice because it was all ruched, and I kept dripping from my nose on it, and I wrote a whole chapter that kind of starts with that dress, and my anger at working on that dress. And in the chapter, the seamstress gets like kidnapped by aliens. Like, the aliens come in, and then she hears a rip and says, "Oh God, I hope that was my skin and not the bridesmaid dress." right? And there is some pretty deep autobiography in here, because I became a mother well, it's hard I adopted my niece, you all know that, and she moved in with us in 2016, and that changed my life considerably, so that's why this book is dedicated to my daughter, who used to be my niece and is now my daughter. But it's true, like, there's an old quote that says that if you write, you appear naked in public on purpose. And that's it. It wasn't when I sold the book, it wasn't the first round of edits, it was like after the third round of edits and they said, okay, we're ready to go to print, that I said, wait, I need to put some clothes on. Can we cut chapter 38? Yeah. But I don't know, hopefully people relate to that. There's somebody at the door.
You got more people want to talk to you?
Yes, Neela.
What did you have to cut that you didn't want to cut but you just had to?
I cut. Yay, welcome, welcome. So,
You like science fiction?
we have a big sign out front, so people are coming in. This is my book. Welcome.
We saw the DeLorean and then saw the
That's Mike's DeLorean.
That's
This
out there as bait.
we're photographers, so we also saw. It's like, well, let's see what's going on. Maybe you guys. Think some photos.
Yeah, welcome. There's going to be cake in a minute.
So this is a science fiction author with a new book.
Crap bridge on the third floor.
Yeah, this is my new book. It's called Multitude. It's about a hive mind who come to Earth, and it's told alternatively from the hive's perspective and the human perspective. And it's basically like, they're like, what's wrong with you guys? Because they expect us to be a hive. They expect us to understand each other, and they're like, stop hitting yourself. Oh my God. What? Wait, what? Why are you shooting yourself? Stop shooting yourself. Oh my God. Yeah. So what did I have to cut was the question that I didn't want to cut. I had enough, honestly, I didn't cut a lot. I had another sequin maker chapter, which took place at the Great Penzic War, which involved, where I wanted to have medieval reenactors. So I have a chapter with the sequin maker is doing, okay, the truth is, I was at the Great Penzic War, and my buddy who did research on sequins, like apparently the origin of sequins was they would have like thin sheets of tin or some other shiny metal, and then they would just punch them out one at a time and then sew them on fabric to make the fabric glitter. And it was cool. And like, if you put a sheet of leather underneath the metal when you punched it, the metal would naturally crinkle like a little flower. So there's a chapter in here which is taking place in, I don't remember where I said it. I said it in Africa, where the sequin maker is annoyed by tourists, but he's making his sequins. And I wanted to put in a chapter about, because like here's somebody who is doing this as an ancient and honorable craft, and he's selling it to the tourist trade, even though there's machines that can punch out plastic sequins like nobody's business. And then I wanted to show the privileged world of we're also doing these ancient crafts, and that there was this interesting separation of these people who have so much in common, and there just wasn't room for it. It was a little bit too much sequining. Because also every chapter had to advance the plot itself. And I was like, okay, so how do I advance the war between Earth and the aliens in this scene? And some of it was like, I thought maybe it would be a little of the Mask of the Red Death, the world's at war, but we're going off to party anyway. But I didn't like doing that to my friends, so so I cut it. Mike?
All right, so you said you attempted to do exactly 1,000-word chapters?
Yes.
Did I hear that right?
Yes.
And while you were working on that, did you read it? Did you time yourself reading it and learn anything about that chapter length?
When I was first doing it, I definitely, I didn't read out loud, and I didn't worry about time reading out loud.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you missed me reading a chapter out loud.
And we're hoping for another.
I can do another, but
Sorry?
there's bookmarks over by the cake. The brains. What was I going to say? I was going to say that when I was trying to keep to 1,000 words, you have to make a lot of sacrifices. Here's a cool description, and here's another cool description, but I'm over by 5 words, so one of them's got to go. And for some of the beginning chapters, the first chapters I wrote where the plot wasn't as important, it was easier for me to make those tough decisions and to trim things down and let the strict word count invite new artistry. I do believe that constraints build art. I think George Lucas was a lot better with a $10 million budget than a $100 million budget, and I think we all agree. Constraints build good art because it invites you to make those hard decisions. It forces you to kill those darlings, and sometimes the darlings are only darling to you. Where it broke down for me was actually in revision, and I was revising the second chapter, The SETI Technicians. And there was just, it started, my first draft was 1,000 words, but I gave it to my writing workshop and they had a lot of questions, and I was like, okay, I have to add this, I have to add this, I have to add this, I have to explain why are they doing this, why are they doing that, what's happening, and I tried to cram it into 1,000 words, and I just couldn't. And finally, I said, I'm going to accept that this constraint has gotten me as far as it's going to get. And then the very next chapter I wrote was one of the shortest in the book, which is the one that's in second person, you.
Oh. Cool.
That was my question. I didn't want to put you in a corner or anything, but I'd like to know more, like whatever you're willing to tell me about why you put that in the book and what that really meant.
The second person chapter was a very late revision, a very late addition, and I was actually arguing with a friend who wanted to know why some chapters were in first person and some were in third person and some were in past and some were in present, and I was like, I want all of the points of view. And then I said, well, I'm going to do one in second, thank you very much, if you want me to just change everything to one point of view. So that was part of it, but also part of it was, as you know, having finished the book, there is a metafictive element to it where, in the end, you are reading a document that you are reading the story of how the document was written. And that makes you a character. And I wanted to bring the reader in, and I wanted to implicate the reader. Because ultimately my goal with this book is to change people's minds, to make them more empathetic, to make them more hopeful, to make them more open to different points of view. I'll read the you chapter to you guys.
All right.
Chapter 27, you. You are not expecting a section in second person. Or maybe you are, as the alien hive mind keeps referring to humanity as you. You are already trying to decode what the author means by you in this instance. The reader, all humanity. You don't feel like all of humanity. You are the sort of person who reads an experimental science fiction book. You worry that that means you are a touch academic with its added baggage of elitism. It's hard to feel elite when you're struggling through everything. Still, you know people. You are confident in saying, people are like this, they are not like that. You also have a great idea for a book, or it could be a screenplay. Or not. If this is being written by a human and not a telepathic alien, all she can know for certain is that you can read English. You recognize her discomfort in trying to spread the story beyond the English-speaking world. More realistic, numbers-wise, would be for this to be in Chinese or Spanish, but we can't help where we pop into existence and how little of the globe we truly get to know, what we get to explore, and what we know with less intimacy than our own home. You are very lucky this whole thing isn't set in Cleveland. You're an outsider, an individual. You feel deeply and aren't sure anyone really understands you. You have been passed up unfairly. You have suffered and had others belittle your suffering. No one understands your unique pain. You are the whole point of this story. We hope that doesn't make you uncomfortable, but it probably does. In a way, that's my whole manifesto on human experience and, 50 years of learning about other humans through conversation and dialogue. Any other questions? How are we on time? Yes.
At the end of that first chapter you read, and the person disappears, it kind of gives like an exciting kind of feeling, like in a parallel thing, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah. Early in the book, you want things to be scary and unsure. You want to raise questions. Which is hard because I give the alien point of view. So to be able to give the alien point of view, but maintain this fear, this uncertainty, so that people want to read forward. Are these good aliens? Let me read to you the very first chapter, which is the hive's point of view. We float to the surface. We see that there is more to the world than the ocean. We see stars. We mistake them for creatures like ourselves at the bottom of some deep and opposite sea, for they resemble the lights we carry when parts of us are lost in the deep dark. We crawl onto the solid above the sea. The stars seem only a whisker's breadth from our reaching arms, but all we learn is how quickly we die from air. Skin cracks, becomes like knives. We watch the tides. We create pools to climb into with stones on top of stones, but the distance to the stars is unchanged. This is when we colonize the upworld. We build domes that push against the sky, and the ocean surface is no longer the only surface. Probing the dry, harsh cold, we are brave and proud of ourselves. We are also embarrassed and sure that we are wasting our time and risking our health. The sky bites our skin. Our arms and tentacles discover sand unlubricated by water. It crumbles and gathers in our coils. But oh, we discover soft, shell-less things under the sand that sing a piercing, rendering cry as we devour their sweetness. We learn to harden clay with bone and spit, and we wish to make it harder still. We try electrical pulses, ink, and substances from other animals. We learn so we can reach those lights like lost children in the deep. Trying electricity outside of water, we discover fire. Soon after that, glass. Glass takes us only so high, and the stars are still not there. We discover metals and reach higher still. We try ceramic and metal together. We study shapes from the small things that build under the sea, and we spiral into the heavens. Long before we are high enough to see the stars grow steady, to see that air too has a surface, we know the stars are unreachable. We compare our views from different points, and the only explanation for the shift in light is distance. We measure the shadows that show us the size of our world, our globe. We craft new concepts to understand this ocean of the universe. We allocate a part of us to be outward-facing, to continue the search into the stars, because we like the way it feels to reach forward, past the dark, past the light, to unimagined crevices where new delights may be tasted. This is where we are, generations ago. It is where our minds linger now. It is the beginning and yet not. The true beginning, we think, is the day we finally hear a song from the stars. It could be nothing, a dance of energies made by stars muttering to themselves. It could be everything. The outward-facing becomes the you-facing. We pull tight to your direction in the hope that the universe may yet gift us a conversation, a banquet.
I like how there's a little bit of second person there right at the end.
Right. There's a lot of, like I said, the second person chapter comes out of a lot of the aliens referring to humans as you. And there was a open call for stories about mythology, and I wrote about the aliens on their ship coming towards the Earth, which takes generations, mythologizing about the Earth and about the God of you. So the second person came into it pretty naturally from that. Yeah, don't feel like you have to stay here. You can go get food, you can get drinks and come back. I'm the only one who's tied to the camera. So, yes.
All right, Marie, you said before you had a first chapter you wrote, and you had a favorite chapter. Was that the favorite chapter that you just read?
My favorite chapter was The Orderly, yeah.
Oh, The Orderly.
Yeah,
Okay.
although, I mean, would you pick amongst your children? I'm going to read you just the first sentence of the Seamstress chapter, because I'm very proud of that.
Just one sentence?
I'm going to read you one sentence from the
Teasing
Seamstress.
us.
I know, but I'm doing it for a reason, because one of the things that I got to do with this book was I got to experience different points of view and different ways of using language. I wanted each chapter to feel very distinct and unique, because we are all individuals and we all have uniqueness, and let me just say that, I've had over 100 short stories in the pro markets, and I still get told that I can't use adjectives. Fuck that. So one day this was actually built out of an exercise in a class for my MFA, where they were like, here's a sentence, like try to rewrite this sentence. And I was like, I'm going to write a motherfucking 19th century sentence with all of those like sub-dependent clauses and put it in my modern science fiction book. So this sentence is, and this is one sentence: the teapot-shaped pincushion with a little plush lid that lifts to reveal a compartment inside has been in Charlize's sewing kit for nearly 20 years, making it Charlize's most practical purchase and a loyal companion until she bumps it with her elbow and sends it flying out the window, destroying everything. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 commas. Why don't we just, we have so much richness in our language, and everybody's trying to be Hemingway. Fuck that dude. Have fun with language. So I got to, because I wanted Sorry, I didn't mean to touch my microphone. I hope that didn't make a noise. Because I wanted Charlize to have a unique voice, throughout her chapters, she has 2, I worked really hard to make my sentences as long as humanly possible. Because we all know that person who cannot finish a sentence. And there's a character, the soldier, who is like subject, verb, period, subject, verb, period. And the Hive, halfway through writing this, I decided the Hive did not have access to past tense. And then I had to go through and revise and find all the places I had used past tense with them and go, oh, how do I say this in present tense and make it not look like a mistake? That was fun. Audrey.
So how did you get into like the hive mindset, the hive set?
The Hive set. I feel you. Honestly, that started almost before the book because for many years I had a document in my short stories folder titled "The Borg But Good," where I wanted to write. I thought it would be like a flash fiction piece that would be from the point of view of a hive mind as the protagonists, and I wanted to get into that hive perspective. So I spent a lot of time thinking about that. But also because I'm an identical twin, I spent most of my life being like identified as one of a group. I mean, you know, my name is Grace and Marie. Grace and Marie. I wanted Grace. The actual thing that happened more than once in my childhood. And my own grandmother was like, girls, are you the one who likes hats? Or was it the other one? I like the hats, Grandma, but Grace can wear hats too. It teaches you a lot about sartorial experience, but also about like the way we create identity, because people couldn't handle it if I wore black, because Grace was the one who wore black, right? But if you're not a twin, you get to just be goth someday and not get mistaken. And it makes me think about, like, we construct our identities. We construct this idea of ourselves as individuals, but we're much more alike than we're different. And sometimes Gracie wants to be all in flowers too, and sometimes I want to be all in black too, and that's okay. I thought about a lot of things, and obviously the first thing that came to mind was, if we were really a hive mind, I wouldn't have been in miserable anxiety my entire 20s, hoping that I would someday find a job that paid the rent. Because if we were a hive mind, I would just hi, worker here, what is needed? And they would say, oh, hey, come over here and shelve books in the library. And I would say, yes, please. Instead of, applying and getting rejected and applying and getting rejected and working for Minutemen and discovering that they're paying $14 so Minutemen can pay me $4, and that is some bullshit. I don't know if Minutemen is any better now, but let's just say I did not have a good experience. And then because I didn't have a car, I was supposed to, they would write over $20 of my paycheck to the person with the car before we left. I was I'd work all day and I would make enough to buy lunch, and then I would go back the next day. It was terrible. Do not work for Minutemen. I mean, unless you want to. Maybe they're better now. Yeah?
I'm wondering, Doug, do we have any questions coming in from the internet?
Do we have any internet viewers who have questions?
No, we only have one viewer.
We only have one viewer. Aww.
No, I was the second viewer.
And then you were like, I'm here, why am I doing this?
And then Marie cussed and everybody left.
No, they didn't, I didn't, you don't think?
I'm hoping before we end the stream to do the cake cutting.
Yes.
Should we bring the cake in here, Doug? Would that be better if we set up a table here and instead of trying to move?
Yeah.
Which would be a better way to do it?
Come with me to the cake.
All right.
Come with me to the cake. All right, our camera is coming to the cake. The camera is coming to the cake. Thank you, Doug. Everyone come to the cake. It's cake cutting time. All right. Here's the cake from Giant Eagle. Giant Eagle will print whatever you want on a cake as long as you have the right to print it. This is actually the pre-release cover before they added a blurb to the front. And I am going to cut the cake. Here we go. Are you ready for Squid Spring? And obviously, the other thing is that I have always loved cephalopods, especially cuttlefish. I'm going to admit that cuttlefish are my favorite.
I was disappointed when I heard you didn't like the cuddle.
But they're so pretty. Okay. It is a red velvet cake with Boston cream inside. Who wants some? Yes. Cake. Will we be able to save a video of this for later?
Yeah, it'll. The
Yeah.
live stream will still be there.
Yeah, and then we can, and then
There's
people.
two live streams.
Right, I saw. I'm sad nobody took advantage of your
Thank you.
your 360. I think that would be fun.
Something was in there for Ginger. Yes.
You're welcome. I am. Thank you all for being here for my book launch. I really appreciate it. I am. Cake. Oh, you gave him the ginger. I'm going to be making ginger beer later. Everyone in the family is going to like it. Everybody got cake? Okay. Yeah. I'm getting cake. I'm going to make sure. Isn't this beautiful? This is a pretty cake. Like, no, I'm going to like shout it out for Giant Eagle cakes because, you know, for the price, they cannot be beat.
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor, but I definitely, my wedding cake was a Giant Eagle cake, so. True story. Who wants cake?
Of course we want cake.
Cake. Cake? No, that's okay. Oh yeah, there are forks. Does everybody need a fork? You get forks. You just ate without a fork and you're good. That's teenage wherewithal. Okay. Mike, you need a cake.
I need a cake and a fork and oh, thank you.
Thank you all for joining me for the launch of my book.
Congratulations on the launch of your awesome new book, Marie.
Thank you.
I give you local
Thank you.
author Marie Vibbert.
This is book number
5. Book number 5.
And you have so many short stories in publication.
Over 100, but who's counting?
She has fans, so many fans.
And a Hugo and a Nebula nomination, but who's selling? But thank you guys. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Mike and Patty, for hosting in your gorgeous house. I really appreciate it. I really love that you guys were able to do this for me because I wasn't going to plan a party. True story. I had a lot of work this week.
It is a pleasure to support your wonderful writing, Marie.
Thank you. Did you get a bookmark? Yeah, get bookmark. Yeah. Yeah, make sure the press gets something. Yeah, we can end the live stream, yeah. Thank you, everybody on the live stream. Thank you, Doug.
Good night, Internet.
Good night, Internet.
I can't wait to read your book.
Thank you.
Can I'm really gonna read it. I might make a short story, a short film.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I'd be there. Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah. There's parts in Cleveland, so it would be good.
Make a short film. See
Yeah.
if we get some big money behind it. And make a whole
Yeah,
film.
yeah. I love the whipped cream frosting is my favorite part.
Lucky.
Thank you for dropping in. Yeah, I mean obviously thanks to Mike and his DeLorean.
You wanna send the pictures like that?
Works every time.
And you have like a Vietnamese hat.
Oh yeah, we were at the Asian festival.
We were too.
Oh,
was
wait,
fun.
yeah, I love the Asian festival. Yeah,
I was there for like 3 hours.
yeah.
Do you want to take
Yes.
a picture of Marie? Okay, here, Marie. Where do you want?
Oh, wait, let me. I will drop the cake and grab the book.
Do you guys have cards?
They're in our car. We parked across the street.
Ah.
I just got flyers.